Here, are you planning to complete the FAFSA for this particular year? For those of you that don't know, FAFSA is open. I know a lot of families go back and forth. They contemplate whether or not they should complete the FAFSA, they shouldn't complete the FAFSA. Hey, we won't qualify for anything, so does it even make sense? Well, I'm going to talk to you about the 6-step process to maximizing your students' aid potential, their aid eligibility at the colleges that they might be considering. Let's go ahead and jump into it. So what's up, everyone? For those of you that don't know who I am, my name is Josh Smith. I'm the founder of A Grade Above College Planning. Here on our channel, we focus solely on the bottom line. We want to empower, we want to educate parents and students on how to reduce your out-of-pocket expenses when paying for college. So we want to help you save for college, but also on the cost of college. Today, we are talking about financial aid because this is the time of the year. This is the season of FAFSA. So it recently opened, and I know a lot of families are scrambling or trying to figure out, should they complete the FAFSA, have a lot of questions. So in my 6-step process, hey, I know a lot of people say this, but definitely stick around for steps 4 and 5. I would say step 1, 4, and 5 are the most important steps in this 6-step process. We're going to start with step 1. You want to maximize your students' aid potential. And by doing that, you have to understand before you complete the FAFSA where they stand. What I mean by that is you want to understand if college were to begin tomorrow, right? Whether you have a 9th grader, a 10th grader, a senior, and you're completing the FAFSA, if college were to begin tomorrow, you want to understand what you're going to be expected to pay based on your unique situation. I talk a lot about this in different videos, webinars, lives, one-on-one. This is something that I've been saying for the last several years. It's really important to understand how your situation is going to impact your students' financial aid eligibility. That's step 1, but step 1, I would say B, when it comes to the next part of that question, is you also want to figure out, is there anything that you can do to reduce that amount? Is there anything that you're currently doing that's inflating your students' SAI? Or we used to call it their expected family contribution, now your student aid index, SAI. So is there anything that you could potentially do to reduce that amount? You want to optimize your aid eligibility. We talk a lot about the before and after. When we meet with families, we do an aid analysis, and just so you know, a little bit of a plug, you can do that with us and it's completely free. We like to provide families that information so you understand where you stand before and after any potential recommendations to increase your students' aid eligibility at some of the colleges in question that they might be considering. So number 1, you need to determine if college were to begin tomorrow, what are we expected to pay? Almost like a pre-FAFSA, pre-SAI, or a projected SAI. Is there anything that we can do to reduce that amount? And as a part of that question, what is that? Right? What do we have to do? Now, obviously, you can't quit your job, right? You shouldn't sell your home or any of your properties. There may be certain things that you can do to cut maybe $5,000 or $10,000 when it comes to your students' aid eligibility, or increasing their aid eligibility, cutting that SAI, that you want to understand and you want to know before you complete the FAFSA. So I'm spending a lot of time talking about this first step because it's very crucial, very important. But number 1, understand your aid eligibility before you complete the FAFSA, and if and what to do to reduce that amount, if it's possible, and what do you got to do to make it a reality. Step 1. So now that you've gone through step 1 and you have a decent understanding of the projected SAI and your students' aid eligibility at a specific college, now you really want to take that information and compare it side by side with all the colleges that are being considered. So your student may be looking at a college that requires the CSS Profile, or they may use an institutional methodology to determine aid eligibility, compared to another college who may just be using the federal methodology, just the FAFSA. So your aid eligibility is going to be different, right, at these schools, and you want to understand, when you look at it side by side, what is your true potential out-of-pocket cost? And again, if you can reduce that amount, what does it look like at each college? It's going to be a little bit different from one college to the next, or it could be a huge gap But the point is you want to compare and contrast the different colleges, and that's going to help develop the right expectation, help you set the proper budgeting, and understand when you complete the forms, this is your likelihood of receiving financial aid at this particular institution. So step one is the maximizing your aid potential. Step two is comparing that aid potential at the different colleges that are being considered with your student. Now, step three is probably one of the simplest things that you can do, and that is now that you have your comparison, now that you've optimized your aid potential, this is where you just need to go ahead and complete the forms. So yes, step three is completing the forms. And the forms should be, for the most part, straightforward. Unless your situation is a little complex, or maybe you didn't file taxes, or there's something that's a little different or a rare exception based on your situation. For most families, completing the FAFSA and the new FAFSA is completely streamlined and is simplified. So they rely a lot on the IRS data retrieval tool to collect most of your information. You just have to know your assets, how you're valuing your assets, and you have to know, again, your aid potential before you complete the forms, step one and step two. But once you get to the point where you're completing the forms, it's pretty straightforward and pretty simple. Now, what's important here, a lot of families ask, what is the deadline, right? When we complete the FAFSA, when should we get it done by? Now, I would say FAFSA opens at a specific time, normally October 1st, depending on when you're watching this recording. But there's usually glitches, issues, a lot of people trying to complete the forms at the same time. So I would say, for the most part, at most colleges and most families, if you can complete the FAFSA within the first, let's say, couple of weeks that it opens, or for sure by the deadlines, mentioned to you from specific colleges, the colleges that your student is going to be applying to, you're good. So some colleges may not need that information until late October, maybe not until early November, but most importantly, just get it done by or before those deadlines and you should be good to go. Step three is completing the forms. All right, step number 4. Now, just to kind of bring us full circle, step 1, optimize your SAI. Step 2, compare your SAI and aid potential at the different colleges being considered. Step number 3, complete the forms. Okay, now step number 4. This is really, really crucial, is you want to evaluate your offers. Okay, so the reason why this is very important, a lot of times I come across students, I come across families where the student really wants to go to a specific college, but they may have applied to 5 or 6 other colleges. And when they get that offer or the acceptance from the college that they really want to consider or that they really want to attend, they usually respond too soon. And what I'm suggesting that you do here in this particular step is wait. Evaluate all your acceptances, all your offers before you make a final commitment. This is going to be very important if financial aid is important to you and you might have to submit an appeal, but do not act too soon. So evaluate your offers, assess if they're a fair offer, if they gave you a legitimate award package based on your situation, based on who your student might be, before you commit too soon. Now, also one thing I like to mention is this is somewhat of a myth when people think that they get money directly from FAFSA. Now, you don't get money from FAFSA. You complete the forms. FAFSA is a government application. You complete the forms, and the government is going to say, based on your situation, this is what we think you can afford. And they're going to give you an index or a number. Let's say that index is 18,364, right? That means that they think you can afford about $18,000 to pay for college. Now, the colleges are going to take that number when you submit your FAFSA information to those colleges, and they're going to interpret it differently depending on who the college is and their methodology for determining your aid eligibility. Now, typically you can say you take the cost of attendance at a particular school, subtract, right, the SAI, and the difference is going to be your aid eligibility. But just keep this in mind that the government or the FAFSA does not give you money. The colleges give you money based on the information received from the government application. So you want to wait, evaluate all your offers before you make your final decision. This is step number 4. All right, now we're on to step number 5. You've already reviewed all your offers, right? You got a good understanding of what you're going to be receiving at different colleges. And this is somewhat, I would say, up to you. But I encourage, in this particular step number 5, for every family, if you're not getting a full offer, you didn't get full tuition covered or paid for, I always recommend step number 5 is to submit a financial aid appeal. In other words, ask for more money. If the school has already accepted you and they may have the ability to provide you more financial support to make your decision a little easier, make it more affordable for your family, this is the perfect time to ask them for more money. Maybe your situation was a little, you had some extenuating circumstances. Maybe it was you had your income that you're showing on the FAFSA is not reflective of your income today. This is a good opportunity to let the colleges know, right, by submitting an appeal asking for more money. Now, I've done several videos on how to submit an appeal effectively, but you're not negotiating with the school. You're just letting them know this is our situation and we're asking for more help if possible. But step number 5 is to submit a financial aid appeal. And I suggest that you submit your appeal to every college applied to and that has accepted your application and submitted you some type of offer. Even if they did not submit an award package, I will still submit an appeal asking for that award package or maybe more money to make college more affordable. Now on to the last step, step number 6. Now you've done all the financial aid things, you've maximized your aid potential, you've compared everything as far as the different colleges and your aid potential at each college. You submitted the forms, all the necessary and required forms. You reviewed all your offers. You didn't make a decision too soon. Reviewed your offers, and then you also submitted an appeal. The last thing that I would suggest you do is to mentally and financially be prepared to bridge the gap. Just because you've done or checked all the boxes when it came to aid eligibility, you submitted an appeal, it does not always mean that your student is going to get all the money they need from that particular college. So this is where you need to prepare to bridge the gap and be able to pay for college or fund college in the most cost-effective, cost-efficient way. I've done several videos on this. One is called the college refund strategy. There's several videos where I talk about private scholarships. I highly suggest you check out some of those videos to find and understand ways and methods that you can employ to help pay for college and cover that bill. But this is the 6-step process to maximizing your students' aid potential. And when all else fails, you also have that final step in number 6 where you're prepared to pay the bill even if they're not able to help you with more money in the form of financial aid. What you don't know, I always say, can definitely cost you. Thank you for checking this video out, and if you got any value out of it, please give us a like, thumbs up, whatever that might be, depending on where you're watching it, and also subscribe so you can get the next bit of information or educational content that we produce. Have a great rest of your day. We'll talk to you soon.